agents.
Today we're at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office training range facility. It's part of the program that we have. It's called the FBI Citizens Academy. And what we wind up doing is we identify local community leaders, bring them into the FBI, and give them an inside look of what we do on a daily basis. And today is one of the sessions in that particular course. And today we're going to be showing them live SWAT demonstrations. They're going to be talking to some of our HAZMAT folks, and they're going to be finding out what they do during a crisis situation where there may be a toxic crime scene that they have to put on special gear to go in and process and collect evidence, for example. We also have bomb technicians, and the bomb technicians are going to actually put on live demonstrations and blow things up for them, just to kind of show them from small scales to large scale explosive situations that can be a danger on society. And a lot of those materials that are utilized for these devices actually come from the typical kitchen. One of the main purposes of the FBI Citizens Academy is to foster a better relationship between the FBI and our local community. And we do that by inviting civic, business leaders, and even religious leaders into the classroom environment so we can actually get behind what we actually do in a candid situation, very transparent, and talk to them about the type of cases that we actually conduct or investigate, the laws behind, the federal laws behind those investigations, and a lot of the congressional oversight that we have to adhere to. As far as the instructors are concerned, we've got FBI agents that have different expertise in disciplines, and also we have non-agent FBI personnel that play a key role in a lot of the different units that you see out here today. The typical individual that's attending these classes are going to be anyone from teachers that are heavily involved or very active in their community, business leaders, individuals that they actually own their own business. We have lawyers, we have politicians, we have bankers. There's a various cross section of our community that we actually solicit and we recruit from. Again, even including religious leaders from different faiths that we bring in, and we want to show them what the FBI does and open that means of communication between us and the community. We actually hold the Citizens Academy course one time a year here in Tampa. Sometimes we'll double up and we'll actually hold one over in our Orlando office, which is a very large resident agency or satellite office out of the Tampa division. The participants will come into the Citizens Academy program thinking one thing about the FBI, but by the time they finish potentially 8 weeks in this course, they have a whole new understanding of what the FBI really does, and that's one of the purposes of this particular program. And today they're excited because they're actually seeing live shooting demonstrations by some of the best SWAT operators in the area. They're actually going to be able to shoot weapons within the FBI arsenal, everything from handguns to long weapons to the actual traditional Tommy machine gun. So they're very excited in doing that today.
Okay, it's up to you. Huh?
Go ahead.
Okay, so you're going to do the same thing. It's just when you pull the trigger, quickly let off. That way you only fire a couple. Okay, just line it up. Hold it back just a little bit more. There you go.
As part of the community, wanted to get involved in learning what the FBI does and how we can be a better asset for them in our community and just have them more connected to the business community. The FBI Citizens Academy had some folks who had been through it before, spoke real highly of it, and put the application through and was selected.
Well, one of the events today was an actual live demonstration by SWAT operators, our local FBI SWAT team. And what they do is they actually go over to the shooting house that's actually set up for this type of situation, this type of training. They come out here on a regular basis to do that, and today they were demonstrating that to the participants of this class. They had a situation where they had information that there were some bad guys that actually kidnapped some individuals. They took them into this shooting house, and which is basically simulating a residence somewhere. And their mission was to go in there and safely neutralize the threat while saving the victims or the hostages inside that environment. Initially, you have to be an FBI agent to begin with, and then there's a tryout process, both physically and also from a tactical perspective and judgment. There are different scenarios throughout the tryout process. And after, if they pass that, then what will happen is they'll become part of the team. And through that participation, they gain expertise and additional training that actually focuses on specific tactical disciplines that we have to carry out during a crisis situation.
When we actually went into the SWAT team area and we went upstairs and we saw the guns being shot and they threw out the gas, it was scary, but it also made me think about the people that were actually doing it and their lives at home. But they come out and they're protecting us as citizens day in and day out. And I wonder, and I asked the question, how do we leave this at home? And one of the gentlemen said they do it as a part of their job, but it's for our country. And that was the amazing part, that these people actually take time out of their lives to keep us safe.
When we start talking about another unit such as the hazardous material or HAZMAT team, they're critical to our overall mission when we're actually out there responding to a situation where there might be toxic substances out there, let's say white powder type of call that we get, or there might be gases that are poisonous. So before we can do anything, once the area is secured from the perspective of any perpetrators or any threat to them or their safety, then they don on special equipment and they understand whether it's a biological or radiological type situation, how to proceed to go into that environment and collect evidence that's going to be crucial during a potential investigation and later a prosecution in that situation.
This is the Hazardous Evidence Response Team. We're basically a forensic response unit that is functioned around anything that would be hazardous for a typical environment. I'm also a member of our regular evidence response team, but this is a specialty beyond that where you receive training in nuclear, biological, chemical, and other hazards. There's initial standards that are controlled by the National Fire Protection Association as well as several other major entities depending upon the specialty. And they require a 40-hour certification for downrange operations. That's what you have to have before you're allowed to put on protective equipment and actually operate in a hazardous environment legally. In addition, we also have another 40-hour training course on how to collect evidence in hazardous environments. And then we have specialty tracks beyond that. We have a two-part chemical hazards track. We have a biological track, which is another single course. And then when we go over to the radiation side, there are 3 different courses, all of which are around 40 hours to cover different specialties within radiation and other nuclear hazards. There's not a lot of units out there that that fulfill this function. When it comes to anytime somebody were to attempt to use a weapon of mass destruction, whether it be biological, chemical, or radiological nuclear, it becomes a federal case. And even if it is not a federal case and it's just us supporting local law enforcement or anyone else who requests our assistance with the forensic side of it, we can operate and know how to collect forensic evidence while in a hazardous environment. There are lots of teams out there, HAZMAT teams, every local, whether it be city or county level or state level, fire agency has very proficiently trained first responders that are HAZMAT certified. They just don't typically do forensic evidence collection in those situations. And then on the other side of it, there are lots of evidence response teams with local law enforcement agencies, but they don't have the hazardous materials side of it. As well as when we're talking about things, certain things within this realm, especially on the radiation side, it could potentially be something that's classified, and obviously that would be where only the federal government could get involved in. Here in Tampa Division, we cover all of Central Florida, so we have the entire west coast of Florida up to Hernando County, and then all the way down to Naples, and then we go across the Central Florida area and we cover Orlando and all of the suburbs of Orlando, as well as Brevard County and the Cape. Obviously, we have a major military facility with a lot of command incidents, and it's a potential target for terrorists. Obviously, ports, anywhere you have major quantities of goods coming in and out. And we have lots of industries in the area, high-tech industries, and then we have quite a few chemical things in the area, and anything could be a potential target. We also have some rail hubs in the area. But hazardous materials could be anywhere. I mean, obviously people ship fuel everywhere all the time. That's a potential hazardous material. It's not usually something that we would deal with because it's not a federal case, and we only get involved in federal crime scenes or execution of federal search warrants, or as an assistant to a local agency who requests our help with a specific situation. Weapons of mass destruction, though the incidents don't come up all the time, and people aren't, every day manufacturing ricin, which you see it in the news every once in a while. But the problem is these things are very dangerous, and when you take something out of the environment that could potentially lead to the death of a lot of innocent individuals, you feel really good about it. In Tampa, we have a relatively small team with the FBI, but whenever a situation arises, you can always rely that the government has response assets that in a lot of places simply don't exist. You go to some countries overseas, and if they were to have an incident where somebody attempted to spread chemical weapons or whatever, their response would be people would perish and they would try and clean it up after the fact. But we have the ability potentially to mitigate it before there's a massive disaster. And it costs a lot of money, and sometimes the government has to spend lots of resources to fly us around and get us specialized training and to bring people down here to support us when the team that we have locally available can't meet all of the logistical requirements. But the fact is that we can respond, and we can and do and have in the last year responded to several situations that could have potentially been really dangerous, and we've taken the danger out of the situation. In fact, actually, some of them have been on the news in the last year, even in our territory. And, we were able to mitigate it. And if there had been no response capability, who knows what would have happened.
I don't want to be anywhere around these guys anytime they're in the community, ever. They work with a lot of dangerous stuff, a lot of training, and it seems they've got a lot of toys to help them detect and keep us safe. We've had a great time today. Looking forward to shooting some guns and blowing some stuff up.
Everything we're doing today, we're doing with an eye to safety. We have the fire guys here, we have medics around. The shots that we're doing are really small in terms of explosives, right? If you remember Oklahoma City, we're talking 4,800 pounds of explosives, right? Today we're doing 1 pound. Boston, you're in the 8 to 10 pound range, right? So these are small explosions, right? And then the other way we make them safe is we get them up off the ground, so we're not taking any rocks or something. 3, 2, 1. All right, who knows, what bombing did that remind you of? Boston, right? Potassium chloride-based explosive, I guarantee you. About everything. 10 ounces, right? Not even a water bottle full. This one's loud.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
The team here, the different units that comprise of the FBI response teams, seriously take everything that they do with the utmost respect and responsibility. They are very good at what they do, and we can tell the public that if anything ever happens here, we have such good working relationships with our local partners that any situation, whether it be a kidnapping, whether it be an active shooter situation, or maybe a bomb scare or a bomb threat, we always collaborate, we always work together.
We've got the weapons spaced out well enough today to where hopefully you won't catch a flying piece of brass, but it can happen that a piece of brass will come out of the gun, it'll hit the ejection port the wrong way, it'll come up and fly down, and it'll fly right in everything so the muzzle's going up because you're trying to get that piece of brass out of your shirt. If that happens, try your best to stay focused because the instructor's going to be watching for that. They'll keep the weapon pointed down range. You can hand it to them, and then you can get off and do your dance to get that piece of brass off. It will feel uncomfortable. It will burn your skin. And for those of you who have shirts on like this, I have a couple of pictures of brass landing on these shirts and just melting right through.
I am learning all about the FBI Citizens Academy and the operations of how it works, from shooting guns, from doing the HAZMAT and learning how people make bombs. It's been amazing, but the most important part of it is just being an aware citizen. One of the alumni told me about the program, and I wanted to become more aware of the operations. The personnel have been amazing from the start to the finish. The staff, when we arrived this morning, they told us about the program, as well as taking us out to the shooting range. We were able to actually shoot the guns, and I did pretty well on my first try. The second try, I wasn't so well. It was the Tommy gun, I believe, and I was able to hold it steady. The little pistol itself, I couldn't really hold that steady, maybe because it was too small, and you had to put a lot of pressure. They told you to put a lot of pressure to your hand, and this hand needed to hold the gun and put more pressure there. And so I did that, and it kind of backfired like that, and I couldn't do it anymore. So the larger gun was better because I could hold it more steady and I could look at it. When I was shooting, I was a little nervous, but actually shooting the shots, I wasn't as nervous anymore. So it went away with time, and I did pretty good.
The FBI missions today has really gone through a lot of changes. We have a lot of the traditional responsibilities that the traditional FBI had prior to 9/11, but after 9/11 we became a full partner in the intelligence community looking out for national security. So we work hand in hand not only with local law enforcement, state law enforcement, other federal agencies, but nowadays we are total partners with the intelligence community. So we work very closely with other agencies, Homeland Security, and other agencies that are chartered, or their mission is to maintain national security.
This is a great thing. It takes you back as a kid and think about running around and chasing bad guys and learning what these guys do on a daily basis has been really, really fun.
I feel more secure because I'm more aware, just because we've learned so much about white-collar crime, domestic tourism, as well as what goes on behind the scenes. Not too much, but a little bit. It makes me comfortable knowing that we have people that are protecting us, as well as knowing my environment and what to expect as far as if I see something out there that's not appropriate.
I've been in federal law enforcement for 32 years. Most of that has been with the FBI. And to me, it was basically a calling to protect and serve. And it gives us the opportunity to do that, to actually get out there and be that difference between the average person and the criminals. Be that buffer, be that protector. And that's what's rewarding at the end of the day for us, is when we do rescue individuals, when we do prevent crimes from being committed, when we do prevent terrorists from carrying out a plot on our land, our nation. That's the most rewarding thing, I think, for any American.